Hey guys, it's Bush, and this week we got the balance changes for Season 1.5. This is the mid-season update for Marvel Rivals, so let's dive into these changes. It is pretty hefty, but we'll just go through it as fast as we can. So they're starting off with the Vanguard changes. First, it looks like Captain America is receiving a number of changes. He will be able to shield himself while jumping, and then his Vibranium Energy Saw projectile speed is faster at the lower end as well as at the higher end. His ultimate has a reduced charge speed, meaning you will build it faster, and then you also will be able to separate your melee strikes from your normal, primary fire strikes. And they're also saying that you can use your melee attack while you're in the air without triggering your slam ability. That just allows for some more versatile combat with Captain America and probably will allow him to start weaving melee attacks in between his shield attacks. Good stuff. Doctor Strange, it's pretty simple. He's just losing 50 HP. They want to affect his survivability, and that seems like the way to affect his survivability without affecting his support of the team through his shield. Secondly, it looks like Groot is getting a slight buff. His Thornlash walls will be effective up to 18 meters rather than the previous 15 meters. Magneto is getting two changes. One is a buff to his primary fire up to 40, previously 35. And the second is it looks like they are nerfing his bubble, making the cooldown time 15 seconds longer, up to 65, previously 50. And they are reducing the time it lasts from 2 seconds down to 1.5 seconds. So it seems like Magneto will be doing more damage, but will protect himself and his allies less frequently. Thor, a pretty simple change. They're just removing the shared cooldown after he uses his Awakened rune. Venom, they're adjusting the angle of his knockback from his arrival from vertical to inward, with an inward knockback angle of 75%. This seems like they want to be pulling enemies closer to Venom when he jumps on them. And secondly, they are decreasing the energy cost of his ultimate ability, so you will build that faster. Those are all the Vanguard changes. Let's move into the Duelist changes. For Black Widow, her magazine capacity is now at 15, almost double from the previous 8, and they're enhancing the slow of her ultimate ability up to 80% from a previous 55%. And this will also apply a 15% vulnerability effect to hit enemies for 4 seconds. So it seems like you'll be slowed down a lot more when Black Widow ults you. And in addition, you will take 15% more damage for 4 seconds, making it seem like a nice team combo ability. Hawkeye seems to be getting a couple of small buffs. He's getting 25 more HP. He'll now have 275. His projectile is getting a nerf in the blast arrow damage down to 15 from a previous 20, but the spell field will be increased to 32 from 25. So it looks like each target will take less damage, but you should be able to capture more targets in the damage radius. And also they're adjusting his slash cooldown down to 12 seconds from a previous 15, so that is a buff. And then the bow draw speed during his ultimate ability is faster, and the damage multiplier is greater, up to 1.35 from a previous 1.2, so that is 0.15 more damage per strike while in his ult. So almost all direct buffs with one slight nerf to his blast arrow damage, but the range is higher. Next, Hela is getting a slight buff, purely to her fallback damage. After 30 meters, it will now do 80% of its maximum, up from the previous 70%. So that looks like, what is that, like a 13% more damage at range? Not too bad. Iron Fist's changes are very nuanced. And I would recommend, if you use Iron Fist, to read this for yourself. I will try to summarize it, but I will not read it directly. So it looks like during his 6-strike combo, they are nerfing all of the damage. You will lose 2 damage on your first, second, and 5th strike from 32 to 30, while your 3rd and 4th strike will do 1 less damage from 16 to 15. And then the 6th strike does 10% less damage at 50 rather than 55. So overall, if you count that up, that is 11 less damage you will be doing. So it takes you from, I think, like 190 down to 170-ish, roughly. Your cooldown for your dragon defense is a half a second higher, now at 1.5 seconds. And then your other attack does 10 flat rather than 19. However, the extra blow of that special attack scales with enemy HP at 1.7% of the opponent's maximum health. So this means when you use your non-combo attacks, you will be doing a flat 9 damage less, near 50% less. However, you will be doing more damage with that 1.7% of the maximum health. And if you're targeting tanks, that 1.7% will be even greater. So it looks like they're nerfing his combos and buffing him against tanks slightly. I don't play Iron Fist, so I don't know how this will play out, but I do think it's just going to be pretty minor overall. Next, they're adjusting his health recovery. You're getting 150 now rather than 50, but you will start losing 25 health per second. So it seems like they want to give you more health back during combat, but they want you to use that health immediately during combat as a slight more sustain, rather than just getting 50 extra health to wrap back up with your healers, full heal, and then re-engage. Lastly, they're giving you more bonus damage from your block, up to 200 from a previous 150. And then lastly, they're giving Iron Fist 300 total health, up from 250. So it seems like his overall survivability is getting a direct buff, while his damage is getting a slight nerf with a potential buff towards vanguards. Next, they're tweaking Iron Man and just giving him an overall flat buff to all of his damage. His unit beam damage does 20 damage per second more, up to 140, and then his charged beam does 10 damage per second more, up to 190. This is really nice when you do not have the team up, and they're also adjusting team ups in this nerf, so we'll get to Iron Man's team up later. Next, for magic, they're decreasing the damage dealt by her Demon's Rage down 10% from 80 to 72, and then they're also reducing the energy cost of the ultimate ability, making you build her ultimate faster. So it seems like magic will be doing less damage overall, but her ultimate will be coming up faster, so her damage should be equalized through that. Next, Mr. Fantastic. They're increasing the spell field radius after landing his flexible elongation up to 5 meters from 2.5, so that's a doubling of the area. And then the ability will also do a knockback effect, launching enemies outward within the area upon landing. But you will have a 2-second longer cooldown of this ability, up to 10 seconds from the previous 8 seconds. So it seems like it will allow you to do more damage and displace enemies more on a more infrequent basis. Next, they are increasing the damage of his ultimate ability up to 70 from a previous 50, and they are increasing the cost of the ultimate, so you are going to be building it slower. They're also adding a spell field damage to his ultimate that will start at 3 meters and reach a maximum at 10 meters. So it seems like you will get your ult less frequently on Mr. Fantastic, but it will do more damage on hit and should also allow you to do more damage around where you're hitting with a new AoE effect. This should make his ultimate a little bit more scary, as before it was just like, he's dancing around. Now you might want to zone and run away from where he is. So for Moon Knight, it looks like they're purely changing his ultimate. You will now be able to throw his ultimate more consistently, as well has less of a drop off, and then the damage trigger will proc correctly. Previously you were getting 75 damage while positioned in the center of the spell, and now every hit will go from 75 to 150. So our guess that the double damage from his ult was a bug is now confirmed intentional. They're just giving him double damage in his ult, meaning Moon Knight's ult is going to still be just as oppressive as before, and it will be a little bit easier for Moon Knight to place it where he wants it. For Scarlet Witch, they're giving her 100 bonus health when you activate her ultimate ability, and after the ultimate ends or is interrupted, the bonus health will decay at a rate of 50 per second, so you'll be back down to your normal health in 2 seconds. This just gives her a little bit more of a buffer when she's ulting, making her a little bit harder for the enemy team to kill. If you happen to save all your health through the ultimate, it will pretty quickly decay back to nothing. Spider-Man is getting a slight change. They're changing his web cluster time from 3 to 2.5, so you'll be able to have it more frequent. Star-Lord's mobility is getting buffed. You will have effectively 50% more of your rocket propulsion, up to 1800 from a previous 1200. Storm, they're adjusting her damage, making her do less damage at range, as well as less bonus damage from her boosts. You will now do 60% damage after 30 meters, as opposed to 70 previously. You will also be getting a 12% damage buff down from the 16% previously, so that is 25% less damage. However, your teammates are going to be getting 20% more damage, up to 10% from a previous 8%. Then you will also be doing 25% damage during her enhanced thunder, as opposed to 30% from before. So Storm is going to be more beneficial for your teammates, allowing them to do 2% more damage, but she will be less damaging in and of herself. Next, they're moving into strategists. Warlock is getting a couple direct buffs. First one is his damage at close range does 5 more, up to 60 from 55. And then secondly, your fall off after 40 meters will do more damage at 60%, up from the previous 50%. The next buff is during soul bonds, allies will heal at a rate of 15 health per second, up from the previous 10 health per second. I play Warlock, and shows how much of the nuances I pay attention to. I didn't know his soul bond actually healed, and at 15 heal per second, it's not that much, but it is 50% more than before. And if you combo that with the damage reduction from being soul bonded and the other heals you can pump out, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna like that. Next, Cloak and Dagger is getting some pretty much deserved nerfs in my opinion, as well as one slight buff. So the ultimate now will not stack its healing effects when it's overlapping. So overlapping a bunch to just get a ton of healing is no longer going to be the play. You're going to need to spread it out. You're also going to be building your ultimate slower than before. However, each healing segment will get 30 healing per second more, up to 250 from the previous 220. However, the duration of it will last at 8 seconds rather than the previous 10 seconds. Then they're going to make it a little harder to kill Cloak and Dagger while putting down her ult, because the pause time between each segment is decreased by a third, down to 60.67 seconds from the previous 1 second. So it seems like each healing segment will heal more while lasting 20% less, and you won't be able to stack it to get the insane heals from before, but they're going to be kind and making it a little bit faster while you're lay down your ult, so you're a little bit harder to heal. That's going to be really interesting. I think those are some phenomenal changes that will put her back in line with the rest of the healers, rather than just being a guaranteed meta. The next change is a slight buff. The vulnerability inflicted on enemies from your cloak form when you throw that goo wall is up to 28% from a previous 20%. So you're going to be doing 8% more damage to people, which is pretty nice. Next, they're addressing Invisible Woman by just slightly affecting the rate at which you build your ult. You're now going to get it about 10% slower, slightly less than 10% slower, say about 8% slower. Loki, they're making you get your ult slower. I think that's 15% slower. The same, I think it's the exact same thing. Yeah, the exact same thing as Cloak and Dagger, 15% slower. But they're also allowing you to have more ammo, up to 12 from the previous 10. So Loki's pretty much just getting a straight nerf because of the ultimate, but having 2 more ammo, it's pretty cool. And then Luna is also getting a straight nerf of about 11% slower ultimate build. All of these changes to supports I think are perfect. They don't want to completely nerf supports by reducing their healing abilities. They're just trying to reduce the oppressive nature of having an ult every single team fight by making you build it a little bit slower. So those are absolute perfect support changes in my opinion. Next, they're adjusting some team up abilities. So Luna Snow, her team up ability is getting more powerful on her end. She now will heal 75 when she does her Frozen Chi, up from 50, so that's 50% more healing, and then she also slows people 30% rather than 20%, so 50% more slowing. I actually didn't know her Frozen Chi healed 75, and if that's an AoE 75 burst heal, that's actually insane, and people will need to use that more, I think, because 75 health is a lot, especially if it will apply to a lot of other people. Again, I play Luna, but I have not used this ability, because I don't really play with Iron Fists that much. But if it is an AoE heal, let me know in the comments, and I need to start finding an Iron Fist main. Then other team up they're adjusting is Black Panthers and Psylocks. They're reducing the rewind time down to 3 seconds from a previous of 5 seconds. Then they're upping the ratio of lost health to blue armor from 0.5 to 0.8. So you'll have less time to lose health, but you will gain more armor from that lost health. And then the rewind time for Black Panther is basically the exact same, down to 3 seconds from a previous 5, increased blue health up to 0.8 from a previous 0.5. Now let's talk about the gamma charge. So before, Iron Man is getting a slight buff to the amount of damage done by his beam, but during the team up now he's going to be getting less damage. So before it was 220, now he's going to do 200 damage a second. And you know, if we looked at the previous overdrive, he's going to do 190 damage a second. So that's only 10 more damage per second with the Hulk team up from his previous boosted ability. So it really makes Iron Man play almost the exact same whether or not you have a Hulk on your team, which means we not only will see Iron Man more frequently, because it won't be knocked out by a target ban of Hulk, and that also means people may want to stop target banning Hulk for something else. Also, Hulk is getting a slight nerf from the team up. He's only going to get 100 anchor health as opposed to the previous 150. So that's a third less. Next, they're giving a really big buff to Moon Knight's team up ability. He will now heal for 25 health per second while in the area of effect. So that's going to give him some insane survivability because not only is he going invisible, he's also going to be healing himself. So that will allow him to play off on further off angles more effectively. And that's going to be super cool. I think because of Moon Knight's healing, we will still see Cloak and Dagger played a ton, even though she's got some pretty big nerfs. Next, the Penny Parker and Spider-Man team up is getting a much needed adjustment. Rather than the 50% damage reduction, they're going to be 100% invincible during their ability. However, their ability is going to be lasting significantly less than before. Spider-Man is only going to last for 1 second, down from 4. Penny will last for 2 seconds, down from 4. So that means that you should see Penny and Spider-Man use their team-up abilities a little bit more frequently for some extra bonus damage, because now they're going to be 100% invincible and they won't have to worry about getting deleted without using their movement abilities. So those are all the changes. I did try to go through it as fast as possible, but honestly, they just packed in changes for this upcoming season, or this half season, I should say. So in order to give it the time it deserved, this video might be a little bit longer than I wanted. So if you guys made it this far, I really do appreciate it. Please hit the like and the subscribe button. It helps me and my content grow. So greatly appreciate that if you do. Other than that, throw something down in the comments about what changes are you most looking forward to. As always, much love, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.